You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your overly caffeinated and sometimes crazy host, and with me is my partner.
Good morning, it's Rocco.
It's Rocco. See, you say good morning. You don't know the people who listen to this in the morning. See the
All
trouble
right,
you cause for me?
Then I'll say good evening.
Good evening. What about afternoons?
Good afternoon.
What about sometime between St. Patrick's Day and Easter? See, this is what happens when I have too much coffee, brother.
All right, then it's just hello.
Hey, there you go. We can do hello. That one's hard to mess with. All right. So today we're talking about marking up files and how to do it right. But before we get into that, we have to start off the show, Rocco. It's actually the first show of the new year here in 2023. So we got to start it off right with our engineering joke of the week.
I thought you almost forgot about that.
I don't forget about the terrible jokes. They're what I love. They're like dad jokes in technical format. How do I go wrong here? I love this. So, all right, Rocco, here we go. So did you hear about the engineer who wrecked the train in New York and killed 100 people? They gave this guy the electric chair, but he survived the process. Yeah. Apparently, he just was a very bad conductor. Come on. That's a funny joke. I'm sorry, that's a good joke. I like that joke. Every time I tell it, it makes me chuckle. I like that. It just wasn't a good conductor.
Bump.
Yep, I threw that in. It's in the background. I know you can't hear when I do that, but it shows up for the listeners, so it all works out. Oh, goodness. All right. So, folks. So today we want to talk about a simple concept that's pervasive of all aspects of the AEC world, right? And that is marking up files. Look, it doesn't matter if you're working as, a drafter or a construction manager or a fire system installer or just about anything else in the design build world. At some point, you are going to need to deal with the concept of markups, right? Whether you're creating them, reviewing them, implementing them into your design, whatever. Markups are kind of the mainstay of communications when we are building things, right? Someone somewhere has to take a pen, either a physical or a digital, and start correcting the initial design concepts so that they coincide with kind of, what can be or what was actually done in the real world. And those changes then have to be incorporated into the design to be sure it's not, those changes aren't conflicting with other systems on your project, right? And, at the very least, it needs to be added into the record set of the plan for future reference. So, where things and how things were actually built. So kind of, this ubiquitous process has been around in some form or another for hundreds of years, and it's just never going away. The issue is how to effectively add your markups and then respond to them and make, plans and real world adjustments based off of them. And I think most importantly, to communicate those markup changes to everybody involved on your job, right? And that communication and coordination piece, I think, has always been the struggle for most of us. It has been time consuming and frustrating to make that happen for, the hundreds and maybe even thousands of changes and markups that occur on a typical construction job. And luckily, there are processes and tools that can make all this much easier for us to do. And that's kind of where I want to focus, today's show on. All right. So, Rocco, how many of our clients come to us looking for help at just being better or faster in markups and communicating those to other stakeholders on their jobs?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, and it's a vital process, right? Like you're discussing, it's part of the daily workflow, and you'd be surprised as to how many folks tell me that they're doing it with pencils and highlighters and Good old fashioned paper. So
Yeah, it is crazy in this day and age. That's still going on, right? So yeah, and it's Rocco's up to right. There are a lot of software packages out there that help with the markup process, and we're going to talk about the best ones, or at least our opinion of the best ones, in kind of the second half of today's show. But I really kind of want to start with more of the practical approach to the how of markups, right? And some tips on the best way to organize and distribute those digitally in the modern design build world. So I'm going to start with a statement here that's going to shock no one, right? As Rocco just implied. If you are still marking up paper drawings with pens and markers, you need to stop right now. Stop. Look, setting aside the fact that it is the slowest and most difficult way to do this, in reality, you're tagging yourself and your firm as a dinosaur, right? You're showing people that you are so far behind the tech curve that nobody is gonna want to work with you. Yeah, trust me on this one, folks. If you're sending in as-builts and submittals that have been written on with a pen and a highlighter, chances are it's the last job you're ever going to be working for that particular client. This is the digital age, right? And people want digital record copies they can hold on to. They don't want to have roomfuls of paper documents with, coffee stains and the remnants of your lunch burrito on page 5 that they can barely read, The reality is, right, putting aside, there's all kinds of environmental issues with that, but storing that, right? Storage for paper documents like that, they have to be maintained and stored. That costs money and time. And it's a headache and a half to organize. And quite frankly, it's also a fire hazard, right? Nobody wants all that paper lying around for decades. The best answer here is the trusty PDF, right? The portable document format file that we all live and die with. PDFs are accessible to everybody, and nearly every modern software, I don't care what it is, Word or Adobe or the CAD file, any modern software gives you the ability to at least open, read, and print PDF files. You got it. Everybody has it. That makes it essentially a universal file format. And it's absolutely the king of the design and build world, right? All of your markups need to be done in a PDF format and shared that way. Right? And I'm going to stress this for the design folks listening, right? You engineers and architects out there, you guys should not be looking to handle your markups in CAD or DWG based formats. And I know that you guys have all that software and that's where you work and live on a daily basis, but no one else has those systems. And even if they do, most of them don't know how to effectively use those, right? Modern CAD systems, modern CAD packages, they all, without exceptions, allow you to import PDFs as either backgrounds or even as true line work, right? Doing a PDF import. Most of these systems, most of the CAD systems will do both of those things. So stick with PDFs, right, for your markups, and this lets everybody be able to participate in your markup process, okay? So, Rocco, how often do you actually see general contractors and subs and developers and project owners, whoever, right? All the people who work in this industry. How often do you see them using CAD for markups versus the number who are dealing primarily with PDFs?
no, you don't see it very often in CAD because it's expensive too. It's having a CAD system, even if you've got a CAD system like BricsCAD, for example, that we support and sell, and it's much less expensive than AutoCAD or the Autodesk products. There's still an expense, if you compare it to a product like Bluebeam. So it's rare.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Nobody in the construction world is doing it, right? PDFs, like I said, any software will read them. So whatever software they already have, they can actively work with you on this markup cycle. So all right. So that brings me to the next thing I kind of went on here or want to hit on here. It's how to share markups. I am always shocked at how many people are still just emailing, even when they're using PDFs, right? They're emailing these PDFs back and forth. And it's probably the worst thing that you can do, and maybe with the possible exception of like FedExing paper copies back and forth, I guess. Look, I get it. We are all comfortable with emails, right? And everybody has email. And I see that the attraction to just send an email to a dozen folks who need to see your edits and just attach PDF, send it. It's simple. It doesn't require a lot of effort, right? Well, the problems that come from that can actually make your life miserable. For starters, right? At least 3 of those people that you just sent that email to, they're never going to get it because their IT group blocks all emails that have attachments or have links in them, so they never even see the email. All right? 2 more are going to have it land in their spam folder that they never check, so they're not going to see it. And at least one guy gets like 500 emails an hour, right? And he only ever checks them on his phone. So by the time he's looking at his screen, right, your message is dropped off to the bottom of the list and he's never going to see it. Okay? So that's half of them, right? So maybe the other half of the people that you sent this PDF to, maybe they get it, right? So it's not all bad. You got a 50% shot. You're batting 500. The problem there is that some of those, even the half, right? Only some are only going to open the attachment from their email. That's they're never going to save it, right? So it's always going to be there and lost in their email mess. Others are going to save it on their desktop, right? And even more are going to look at it and say, this is the file he sent me yesterday, and they're just going to delete it, not realizing that there were changes last night, right? You start to see all the different issues, right? Everybody's working with either they're not seeing it, they're working with different versions of the files, out-of-date versions of the files, right? The best way to handle all of this, right, this markup process, is to use a cloud-based hosting system that everybody can access. Right? This way you have one correct file in one place that everybody can access 24/7, 365. Right? And look, there's a lot of ways to do this. You can go with a basic SharePoint or a Dropbox or a Google Drive. Those all work just fine. I think that there are better systems out there though that will help you handle, like change tracking. Or automatically notifying, people when there are changes or updates to a file or files are added. A lot of these systems even have revision tracking, right? So that you can actually track every iteration of every design change and every markup and who did it and when, where, why, and how over the life cycle of an entire project. Effectively sharing markups from one shared file, it's a much more intelligent, secure, and honestly, it's a more simple process than the email that we all seem to default to. Rocco, do you find that as our client companies grow, that they're looking to actively kind of divorce their markup process from just emailing and formalize kind of a more trackable workflow?
Yeah, and it's for the reasons that you just outlined. I mean, email is just, there's so much that goes on through email and Outlook that even from an operational standpoint, a management standpoint, that so much goes lost. So there's just better methods out there, and they're very affordable methods, and that's what we're going to talk about, again in the next half. So why use outdated methods when there's better, faster, cheaper ways of doing it?
Yeah. And listen, I also just think at the end of the day with emails, I mean, just look at you and I, right? Rocco and I are both at the point where, honestly, we're pushing, I'm not quite there yet, but I am pushing, 1,000 emails a day, every single day, 7 days a week that are hitting my inbox. There's so much that has to happen there. Things get lost so easy. It's not a good way to go. So, all right. So let's take a quick break here to hear from today's sponsor. And in the next half, I want to talk about the different software systems out there that can really help you manage and control your markup processes. All right. So stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call Podcast is being sponsored by both Rocco and I. Zentech. We want to talk to you guys about our Bluebeam Review Toolset Kickstart program. Look, do you guys fight with trying to get reliable, repeatable quantity takeoff and markup items from your Bluebeam software, right? Are you guys frustrated having to go in and change and modify the display properties of every single item that you create inside a review? Well, that's what we're here to help you guys with the Kickstart program. We give you tools that you need built to your specifications at an affordable fixed cost. You can fully develop tool sets for any industry. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what you do. We can help you work better with Bluebeam custom tools. So Rocco, why don't you tell folks how they get info on our Kickstart program?
Yeah, the big thing is it is like you said, Jim. It's one fixed price, so it's $29.95, and we can help you to prove to your management what.
Is it $29.95?
No, Jim, it's $2,995.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Oh, of course. So hit up our website, check out the details. We'd be happy to talk to you. It's zentechconsultants.net. Reach out to us, sales@zentechconsultants.net, or give us a ring, 866-824-4459.
All right, the Bluebeam Review Toolset Kickstart program. Everything you guys need to be Bluebeam experts. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking about markups today and how to simplify the process of creating and sharing them to everyone, I guess, involved in your projects. And in this half of the show, I want to talk about the software systems that I think do the best job of that, right? And which are the right ones for different size firms. And I think, to that end, I want to start with the big guys, right? Those large, general contractors and developers who are doing just, massive numbers of large scale projects, right? And I think that the markup tools that work best for these types of firms are usually integrated directly into their project management or ERP systems. My personal favorite there is Procore, right? The Procore project management system. I think it has a really nice built-in set of tools for markup and communication directly onto the construction documents of the job. In other words, everything you're doing is happening on top of the bid sets, right? What you're actually putting in there, and you can do revisions and updates, and everybody who you have on your job, right, can work on those, right? So, Procore just kind of lets you upload all the construction documents for the job right into a cloud-hosted project, right? That's what Procore does. And this way, everybody on the job, the subcontractors, the project managers, the installers, everybody, right? They can go in and they can add either private or public markups. All right. In other words, that boils down to, it's markups that only you can see, right, for your own notes and information versus markups that everybody on the project sees that everybody needs to be aware of. And I think, the real beauty of a system like Procore is that it's 100% cloud-based, right? And the people who are part of the job, right, all those subs and estimators and the owners and the engineers and so on, they can all be set to receive automatic notification when there are markups added to any of these files that concern them. Not only that, right, but these large-scale ERP and project management systems, they have these built-in, reply features. All right, and author tracking, so that all the communication and organization is being controlled right inside of Procore and maintained as a history instead of all of that data being lost in emails. Everything you do, you have questions, concerns, markups, comments, changes, it all just happens right through your web browser, right, in Procore. There's never a need to go through and email, this changes I have to send to Rocco, and this markup has to go to Jim. Everything can be accessed right in the field, right, via any phone or tablet. They have, apps and web pages, and no matter what, physical hardware you have that you're working with, you can access this data. And I think that this type of a project management system, it's a really, really powerful way of making sure that all of the information and changes and markups on a project are maintained in that one central data store so that everybody is working with the same correct information at all times. And so Rocker, right, we're certified Procore consultants, right? So we do a lot of work in that arena. What is the feedback, that you get on the built-in markup tools in Procore in particular?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of people love it, particularly from the aspect of field use, the supers and folks who are out in the field. It's really efficient. And obviously, Procore doesn't just handle markup, so it's just one part of the big monster of a tool that it is. That's hugely impressive. So a lot of people love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Giving folks out in the field the ability to just pull up their phone and look at and see all of the revisions and versions of the marked up files instead of keeping 12 different rolls of the construction documents in the back of their pickup or under their desk in the trailer. It makes life a lot easier. So all right, yeah. So next, I kind of want to get into how do we handle markups for mid-sized firms, we'll call them, right? Those folks who are doing, larger commercial and industrial projects, but they usually have that less than 75 to 100 employees, right? And these folks I think they see and understand the need for one of those larger project management systems like, Procore or Viewpoint or whatever. But the costs, and believe me, yeah, I like those systems, but they are not cheap. They are really expensive. So the costs, I think, are holding these people back from kind of pulling the trigger on one of those, big project management systems. And I don't blame them for that. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's a lot. So for people who are listening who are in kind of this category, I am going to recommend what is really a new product, or it's actually not. It's a new tool inside of an old product, and it is called Bluebeam Cloud. Look, Bluebeam Cloud, and we've talked about it on the show here a little bit. Bluebeam Cloud, it's the big addition to Review version 21 that came out 3-4 months ago. And it's focused almost entirely around handling markups and submittals and punch lists and RFIs for these mid-level firms who really need a way to manage, a ton of markup information without that crazy expense, right, of these software packages, these big ones, and the hundreds of hours of setup and configuration that you need to kind of get effectively rolling with a full-blown, project management or ERP system. And look, here's a good thing, right? As you guys are probably expecting, right, since the word is in its name, Bluebeam Cloud is an entirely cloud-based workflow process with those built-in response and conversation tracking and revisioning, right? And even unlimited file hosting for all of your markup needs. And Bluebeam Cloud, it is part of the standard V21 purchase fee. Okay, so when you upgrade to Bluebeam version 21, there are no additional costs for Bluebeam Cloud. It comes as part of that package at the same price. Though I will say, just as an aside, I do recommend get the complete, that's the new title for the high-end version of Bluebeam, the complete version of Review if you're planning on using cloud. Just a little tech tip. It can be accessed, right, the Bluebeam Cloud, using any mobile device. And it gives you all of the markup and control features that we've talked about from those large project management systems, but without the weight and the cost of having all the additional accounting and billing and scheduling and time tracking things that get in the way. Okay, I think it's a perfect solution for people who really want to focus on improving this markup control and collaboration process we're talking about here today for a really, really low investment. Rocco, Bluebeam Cloud, like I said, it's only been out for a few months, but we've already done a bunch of demos and webinars, and we talked about it here on the show. What has been the response from clients and people who see it?
Oh, they love it. I mean, it's and they love the fact that there's no extra cost for it.
That always helps.
Yeah, it's built in, like you say. So the greatest challenge is just getting people to read 21 and navigating the challenges of getting everybody current and
that has not been easy.
No, but it's worth it when you're there. I mean, a lot of people love it. The product itself the version V21 is very stable from what we're seeing, and Bluebeam Cloud itself is quite impressive.
Yeah. All right. So last but not least, I want to talk about the markups for the smaller firms out there, right? Small businesses kind of being small business owners ourselves, right? Small businesses hold a special place in Rocco and my hearts. We never forget you guys. We love you. Yeah, and there are a number of free PDF markup tools out there, right, that you can grab from companies, like Autodesk, right? They offer like, Autodesk Docs and Design Review, and there are a few others out there. But honestly, those are really meant for design firms, right, who are moving markups across internal design files from department to department, changes internally. They're really not that PDF friendly. And, look, let's be honest, right? In life, you get what you pay for, right? So free, as my old man always told me, free is just too damn expensive. My choice markup tool for, small contractors and installers and residential builders and so on is really just good old plain old Bluebeam Review. And yes, I know I just talked about their new cloud offering, but the regular old version of Bluebeam that we have all been using for years, it is an absolute powerhouse of markup capabilities. And since most of us already own it, why not just make better use of it? One thing that I always stress to all of my clients that, it's that all seats of, Bluebeam Review, they come with Bluebeam Studio, right? Bluebeam Studio, it is just a simple cloud-based hosting site, and you can use it just like Dropbox or Google. But I think Studio has three major advantages over those, right? First, it's unlimited free storage that you get as part of the Bluebeam software purchase. So again, if you already own it, you've already got Studio. You have an unlimited cloud-based storage site. Second, all right, Bluebeam lets you build your own custom notes and tools and features, right, which dramatically automate and speed up your markup process. Okay, it's a huge thing. Building your own custom tool sets is a must when you're dealing with review. It'll take so much time off of your daily work process. And I think third, and this is a little bit newer, it fully integrates with the Bluebeam Cloud tool. So as you grow, right, you can take all of those tools and things, and as you grow and you go from being a small company going into one of those good medium-sized companies, which is what we all want, you can use the exact same tools and the exact same processes without needing to change to a whole new system, right? You eliminate the learning curve. And that's I think a fantastic long-term answer to an ongoing concern that you're going to have on every project. With Bluebeam, you're covered in one single system, I guess, until you're a multi-billion-dollar a year firm. And I'll be honest with you, most of those companies still use Bluebeam every single day at some level. They never get away from it. And look, I love that you can build sets of tools with pre-written notes and different tools and tags and callouts and issues to address all the things that you see all the time on every job. So instead of having to recreate them each time, you can just click on a toolbar and drop it onto your PDF. And those tools, once you build them, once you get them in place, they can be shared from a central server, or they can be sent to everybody in the company. So, everybody's working consistently and efficiently with the same markup tools. Heck, with the V21 version, you can even take those markup tools from basic Bluebeam and you can push them out into Bluebeam Cloud. So when people are marking up through Bluebeam Cloud, they're using the exact same custom tools that you built, right? So that the people in the field are using the same markup capacities as your people in your office. That's amazing. So Rocco, how much work and interest, I guess, have we seen over the last few years on just setting up and configuring custom tools for Bluebeam users?
Oh, it's become a huge part of our business. Particularly as people learn what Bluebeam is truly capable of. A lot of people just you see it as, it's a basic collaboration or a markup tool, and it's like once they get into conversations with us, or watch some of our videos that are posted on YouTube and so on, and they're like, wow, this product has a lot more capability than I even realized. So
yeah,
there's a lot out there, and definitely encourage you guys to invest in the product. It's not an expensive product. I mean, they've just restructured to an annual model, but it runs from 240 to the basics version, to 300 to the core version, to 400 to the complete version per year. So, in comparison to some of the big, like, to the big products out there, Viewpoint and Procore and Autodesk products, 300-400 a year per user is not a huge expense.
No.
So definitely worth looking at and talking to us about what you can do from the from the tools and markups, and always reach out to us. Happy to have discussions.
Yeah, it actually is crazy to me, to Bluebeam here. The cost to benefit ratio for that, it's insane. I would pay 10 times as much for that program. I live and breathe in that thing. I love it. All right, so there you kind of have it, folks, in a nutshell, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're in or what size firm you work for. There are smarter tools available to streamline your markup and communication process, right? So let's throw away all of those pens and highlighters, okay? Actually, all the tools that we talked about today actually have both digital pens and highlighter features. So you can just draw on the screen with your finger, all right? So you're not even losing anything in the process, right? You're just building a better reputation for yourself, being more efficient, saving time and money, and you're also helping to save the environment by using less paper, right? So yay, trees. So with that, folks, we're going to get out of here, and we will catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.